Hi, and welcome to According to Yahoo Celebrity Women's Health, January Jones just made 42 look like 22 with her latest bikini Instagram
In
in 5D.
5D.
Or 4D because she lost that weight.
Blant was she? I don't know who that is.
I have no idea the words you just said.
Yeah, I'm not.
It
I'm
was
not
literally
sure.
the first article that I kind of flipped my scroll wheel to. And that's where that came up. So who?
Okay.
Okay, now I guess we just have to know.
Yeah.
January Jones. Who the fuck?
That sounds like
Oh.
that sounds. Hold on, before you
No,
say
wait.
that,
She actually looks familiar.
it sounds like the secret identity of a
Okay, no,
superheroine.
we should actually feel bad about this. We're actually all in the wrong on this one. She's in X-Men First Class as Emma Frost. She's in Mad Men for all of it. She's in the Dirty Dancing Havana Nights. She's in oh fuck, I even watched this one, Last Man on Earth. She was in that. Yeah, no, she's a big celebrity who's in lots of things. Lots
Except
of
for
things.
I haven't seen any of those.
She's in Anger Management with Adam Sandler. She's in American Wedding.
Yeah, no,
Oh god, she's the main girl in American Wedding, and I just rewatched that shit. She's in Pirate Radio.
Okay, so you should feel bad way more than either of us because.
Oh, I haven't seen 90% of the stuff I just named. I just know it's big name stuff that lots of people
okay,
have
fair enough.
seen.
Because I haven't.
But I just
seen
like
any of
she's like a household namey celebrity. You know, she's
Yeah.
been in enough stuff that we should at least recognize the name as entertainment podcasters.
it. Well,
I guess I don't know. I have trouble like recognizing names for most people that are in movies. I put like faces
And
to
it's
names.
a problem as an entertainment podcaster.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
guess it's
have.
fair.
Yeah. So I remember her as Emma Frost because I saw that. I don't remember any of the rest of it. Like
I saw bits and pieces.
I didn't see Last Man Standing, which is another one that you would have seen. I haven't seen American Wedding.
No, not Last
in
Man
years.
Standing, Last Man on Earth.
Oh,
very,
sorry.
very different show. Don't put me in a fucking category with that shit. That's a hot button shit.
Oh, that's
Not
right. Last
part
Man
of
on
that.
Earth. Yes.
Yeah, different
Sorry.
show.
Not the Tim Allen
Not that show.
Home Improvement?
show.
The Will Forte apocalypse show.
Yeah. Fair enough. My mistake.
Not the same.
But anyways, so whatever. I my bad for not knowing her name. I really thought it sounded like super heroine, just an undercover. Because it was
January. You got that January Jones?
Miss January Jones off to the rescue.
50s Explore, January Jones.
Yeah.
Said something like 20s. I don't know why I said 50s.
Yeah.
but
I
it's
was like,
fine.
a little bit more. You would need a little more pizzazz for 50s.
Zazz.
Pizzazz.
Klops, give me some Zazz right now.
I don't know. I'm trying to blink.
All right. You tried. Not really, but way to go.
Okay,
Improv
thanks.
skills.
I mostly not had nicotine today, so I'm like dragging.
Oh, then give me a nicotine fit right now.
It
There we go. That was much better.
I've never had a nicotine fit. Is that pretty accurate?
is for me. Like it's just basically like kind of like being foggy in the mind, and then like not having any nicotine. Like I don't get angry or anything anymore. Like people like can get really emotional or angry from it from not having it.
He's
I'm-
moved past that
mine's
with
more
years of
like-
therapy.
Mine's more just like there's no nicotine. Everything's stupider now. And I'm like, okay.
I admit that I'm kind of a freak on this, but I really never had too much of a problem quitting smoking. It was really easy for me.
Like mine doesn't fit. So like I'll buy cigarettes and smoke them, and then like I'll stop, and then like I won't have any for a little bit, and I'll go through like the like humdrum of not having nicotine, and then I'll be like, I want cigarettes again, or I want nicotine again, and then I'll have nicotine, and then I'll stop again.
Oh yeah.
You know what? I'm lucky that I'm not habit forming like that with substances. Well,
Have you ever tried a cigarette?
yeah, I have.
Okay.
So it's funny because everyone in the military smokes, and I spent years in the military, and like Never picked it up. I didn't chew anything. None of that.
Never did chew.
Yeah, like there's people.
Never seemed
there's
appealing.
Snuff. Like the people did snuff still
Yeah.
in the military. It was weird. Because it's not the fucking 50s anymore. I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
I
But
never really liked snuff. I liked chew and I like smoking.
yeah, I just never picked it up. I tried a cigarette once and it burned, and I even like when I started using pot, like I don't like smoking it. Burns my
You sound like such an old man when you say that. When I started using that pot,
yeah. Well,
when I started
When I-
ingesting
When I
pots,
started smoking marijuana,
I didn't. Edibles are the shit.
you should start calling them jazz cigarettes.
Oh Jesus!
Are you could call them your jazz gummies.
Is
The
it
devil's
okay?
reefer.
Would I be able to get away with that because I'm brown? Just
I think you can.
okay.
It's the mustache that does it, though.
Oh yeah, I gotta keep this forever. No.
Yeah, if you get rid of that, it's gone.
Well, how do you? For people on the YouTube, how do you guys like my quarantine look? It's hair too short, facial spazzy shit too long.
Yeah, it's like a face mullet. Business up top, party in the front.
But yeah, so anyways, this is yeah, no, I'm okay. I won't smoke. I did have a little bout with them narcotics when I got hurt. Fucking Percocet's the bomb, but
That'll happen.
I quit
yeah,
that shit.
Percocets are great.
I quit that shit cold turkey, and
Honestly, with
Never
pills,
went
I don't
back.
have a problem with them. Like it's like I can
Oh, it was so
leave
good.
them and not have to worry about them or anything like that. Like I don't have a habit forming with like narcotics like that. It's just like cigarettes. I don't know why.
This is a
Cigarettes.
super great entertainment podcast.
I know, right? I know. We're just talking about like different
My
different
addiction
substances.
when I was in the war.
sometimes we just need to get real, guys. We just gotta get real. Okay, so I've been watching a whole bunch of new shit. Let's go to entertainment here. And
Okay.
honestly, while I'm working, because I'm working from home, I'm watching a lot of reviews to movies that I probably never want to actually see, but I want to know if they were any good. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
Yeah. So, and I've noticed there's been three.
It's the kind of movies that I say I'll wait till it's on Netflix.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll watch the reviews and then just it'll inform my opinion. Do I go out and search for this thing, or if it ends up where I'm watching, maybe I'll watch it. And I've noticed that there's three major categories of reviewers. You've got the right now on YouTube, at least, you've got the guys who take themselves way too seriously, where a lot of times they're like, this is a plot hole, and we're like, well, not really, because it's not related to the plot, so it can't be a plot hole. It's maybe an inconsistency, sure, but okay.
Things still move
Yeah,
regardless.
so there's those people, and then there's the people who don't really give a shit about the subject material. They're just there because it's a big name movie, and they're gonna comment on it. And,
Sure.
And then I've noticed that there's also the guys who do the reviews where they're like, look, we can be fun and we can be critical, but also like the movie at the same time, which seems very middle of the road right now for YouTube, but it's pretty interesting. And I was wondering, like, when you view a movie, when you watch it, do you view it as that guy who's looking through like for all the plot holes and inconsistencies? Do you view it as this is just a movie, I'm just here to enjoy it, or kind of what's your process? It's for both of you.
I am definitely one that is going to basically watch the movie and just let it come by as it comes by. And like, I do notice plot holes and inconsistencies, but it's not like I'm purposely looking for them either. I'm there to enjoy a movie, not pick it apart and be an asshole. I'll be an asshole afterwards and pick it apart.
And for me, it kind of just depends on the movie. And well, this is pretentious sounding, but once you actually like take courses and stuff on script writing, you can't not notice certain things.
No.
Like there's just some stuff that's always going to jump out at you. So I do try and turn off that like critical eye sometimes. It's like anything, you know, when you understand the rules well enough, you can break them sometimes, but there's some people who either don't understand the rules or just took a swing and a missed, and sometimes it's hard to not notice, but a lot of times like I do find depending on the movie, I have to turn off parts of my brain.
Okay.
Like Lucy. Do you remember Lucy? I think
Yeah.
we probably did a
No.
review on Lucy.
Yeah, we did.
I
Lucy's
didn't watch
good
it.
as long as you don't acknowledge that science is a thing and that that's not how things work. If you just take what's there, Lucy's really fun.
Well-
If you actually try and look at Lucy, oh boy, that's not how anything works.
And no, and actually, Lucy, I wouldn't classify as a science fiction movie. I'd actually classify it as kind of a fantasy movie. It's just in a sci-fi
Well, yeah,
setting.
because it's fucking magic. It's not
Yeah,
science.
it's not
That's
science.
not how
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
works. Yeah.
So, but anyways, for me, I can enjoy a movie for the fact that it's just the movie, but if pressed, I can get very nitpicky. So I feel like I notice all of them, but I'm able to tell my brain like, yeah, okay, that's fine. Unless something goes out of its way when I'm not when I'm reviewing, but when I'm viewing things that really like is super pandery and breaks the just the immersion. Once a movie breaks immersion for me, where my brain goes, oh, fuck, what was that? That's when it almost starts me like taking notes, like, hey, fuck you. Now this is wrong. Now this is wrong. So on certain movies where I go back and I view them, and I go, you know what? I don't hate it as much as I did initially because I'm over the fact that X. And I'll give you an example. So like Captain Marvel.
Mhm.
Okay.
It's definitely not one of my favorite of the Marvel movies, but I don't outright hate it anymore, and I've seen it again. I think that it's because I'm over the whole like build up and how that I felt at the time they had geared it to be this big thing, and it just didn't pay off. The expectations were too big. But how often on rewatching things do you guys just change your mind? And in both good and bad, because bad I find a lot more like, oh, this doesn't hold up, but for the better.
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree with it on this one. I enjoyed the movie. It's not fucking terrible.
Yeah,
It's kind
I
of
also enjoyed Captain Marvel.
it's almost like Green Lantern-y, where love it or hate it. Even if you hate it, the people who just have abject hatred for it really don't have a leg to stand on. It's not that bad. Like, sure, there are problems with it. Sure, it's a little fucking generic. So, you know, but so are a lot of the Marvel origin movies. But
Yeah.
like, I'll go to bat for even the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie. It's not an outright piece of shit. There's good stuff in that movie. There are fun parts. There were bits that are good to it. It's not great. It should have been so much more. And actually reading the original script for it, it should have been so much better, dude. But people act like people act like it's like a shitty B movie that nobody tried on. You know what I mean? Like, talk to somebody about the Green Lantern movie and watch the venom that they have for that movie, and then immediately follow that up with watching that movie. It's not nearly as bad as
No.
the people who puke hatred for
Yeah.
it. And it's the same thing with Captain Marvel. I get why people didn't like it. I get that it had this very like modern SJW tone to it, and that's not for everybody. Totally fine. But if you're actually being objective, that movie is not cringingly terrible, worst movie ever made like people sound like it is. Like, watch like Troll 2 or Cleopatra, which is really just this overblown pile of garbage. They spent millions on this movie at a time when spending millions on a movie was unheard of, and it's terrible. Like, nothing happens in that movie.
Yeah.
I don't think I watched that one, but I watched Troll 2 and I actually liked that one. It was a great train wreck of a movie.
Right, but like you get what it like there actually are bad movies that
Yeah.
are made that are fundamentally ungood. And to compare a lot of this stuff, people are like, it's the worst thing ever made. Really, it's fucking Plan 9 from Outer Space bad. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, like so that what I would say is like a really bad movie that just has a cult classic because it's so bad,
Well, right,
right?
and something can
Um,
become so bad that it's entertaining at how little they tried. But that's what, like, Plan 9 from Outer Space, bro, tombstones fall over because they're cardboard, and those are the cuts that they use.
yeah. No. And I
Bad.
and I get that, and I like that kind of stuff. So that's why, like, for me, it's a little bit different. It's like, how much is this movie trying to portray something, and is it making up to that portray, or is it not? Right, kind of
Right.
thing. Like that's really where my standard of like how I judge a movie is.
Right.
Right. If the movie is going to be action superhero movie, great. If it's going to that, cool. I might not always like it depending on the movie or whatever, but
Right.
I tend to like them a little bit more just because they know what they are and they're going for it. Like the Marvel movies. They know what they are and they're kind of just going for it. And it's fine. It's great. Right. But something that's like supposed to be super militaristic and then they're not doing the right things because they didn't have anybody that was there to actually guide them for like their military shit
Yeah.
gets to be like, okay, so this is like pseudo militariness, but it's not actually like anywhere for anything, right?
So how
Same with like sci-fi. Like
how
I'm fine
picky
with
do you
them.
get though? Like, are you one of those no sound in space guys?
No, it depends. If it's supposed to be like hyper realistic, then yes, there should be no sound in space when you're doing something, right? You know?
I think both can
But-
be used well with that example. Like,
Yeah,
sometimes no sound in space can be a really beautiful shot that
Yeah.
really punctuates things, but other times, like Star Wars, bro, if there was no sound in Star Wars, it wasn't gonna work.
Well,
It was gonna
especially,
be
especially the
really
chase
boring.
movie. Was it no, not Rise of Skywalker, Last Jedi? That whole time that they're just chasing, no sound in
Yeah,
space,
yeah.
you can't hear the cannon
Right.
shoot. You're just like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
No,
yeah, I
it-
mean, and that's something that I'm willing to accept in that, right? Because like it's a science fantasy movie is really what those are, right? They're not really sci-fi, not science fiction
Yeah.
or science fantasy. So like having that sound and stuff in there, great, it's fine, it works with it well. I'm not gonna be picky about it, right? You know, but like just for example, like I didn't watch most of the Stargate shows because they used P90s in every situation, and I just remember my mom watching it. And like they're shooting P90s and it's cutting through the jungle like it's LMGs.
yeah. So
And I-
here's how I explained it to myself though for that, because I had that same problem from being in the military. It's they're the fucking Air Force and they just do things kind of stupid sometimes.
That's
Okay,
fair.
hold
I
on.
can see that, but at the same time, when that show came out and that was happening, I was like, no, I can't.
here's
Like this
here's
has
a
like
better
just
argument.
broken my immersion so much. Like
Yeah.
I
okay.
can't.
Hold on. Them using the wrong gun breaks your immersion. Them having a mystic portal that takes you to different places in the
Perfectly
solar
fine.
system does not break your immersion.
No, because that is the science fiction part of it, right?
But you can't accept that in a world where they have that, they also just chose a different gun as the primary one for their military.
No, it's fine that they have that gun. It's not okay that they're cutting down jungle terrain as an LMG when they're using an indoor 5.7 millimeter
I understand,
cartridge.
But you don't know, bro. It's a different universe. Maybe
It's-
that shit's different.
It is not, because they're trying to do the heavy military thing and it's not working. In the first movie, when they had MP5s and they were running around, it was fine. Didn't fucking matter whatsoever. In the show,
Also,
when
they
started
wouldn't
trying
use
to explain
MP5s
things,
'cause-
no, they wouldn't. But we're not
Just
getting
saying.
there. It's just fine that they have them. Like, right, you know, that's what they chose. Okay, fine. But when you start going into this realm of like they're super military realistic trying to do this thing and then they're like using the equipment wrong and it's not portrayed as actually anything and it's just like super
Well,
Hollywood, it
like,
breaks
I'm
immersion
with
to me
you
to
to
the
a
point where it's
point.
like
it
no.
starred the guy from MacGyver.
Yeah. So he should have made a rocket launcher out of fucking like, you know, cardboard fucking
I'm
cutouts,
sure there
and
was at least one episode where he did.
I don't know if there was or not. I didn't know how long. I'm
Oh.
just saying that that's why I'm able to like get through most things. But like that was just one of the examples. You know what I mean? That was just one of the examples. Just because I know what that gun does doesn't mean that everybody knows what that gun is or does, right? So they can disbelieve. They don't have to worry about it, right? But because I know of that knowledge, it breaks the immersion for me in it.
I just want to see Klops like in the theaters watching like Saving Private Ryan or some like classic of a war movie where he just knocks the popcorn out of somebody's hands like, nope, they pulled out the wrong sidearm, and then
Actually,
just
they
not
used,
having it.
They used a lot of authentic techniques and stuff in that movie. Where they fall short, though, is have you noticed that none of the Nazis scream? None of them cry in pain?
It's because they're not people.
Yeah, that's what they want you to portray, too. That's exactly what they're doing in that movie, which, although I'm not for Nazism at all, they were still people, and they should still scream when being shot and burned.
Some
Okay,
folks don't,
I
bro.
feel like you're arguing something that an error that they would have made versus a choice that they made for the theme of their film. Different.
Yeah, I mean, the
right?
theme of their film was American propaganda.
Yeah,
You're right.
And
You're completely right.
And that's fair, but there's a place for that. And when you're doing serious film critique, that is totally a critique. But you can't lump it in with they used the wrong kind of gun.
No. I said
they
that they used the right
thematically
thing.
made the choice, right?
I was giving Devin something because he's like, I just want you to watch like a classic movie and like knock people's popcorn out of their hand. Like, it's the wrong sidearm. It's like, no, they actually used all the right gear and the right tactics and the right thing, but their like portrayal of people was wrong.
Okay.
All right.
It
I
wasn't.
still love you.
I was like,
I still love you too. It's fine.
Smooches. All right, so back to the main topic: rewatching old shit or replaying old games. Claps, do it.
It's not old anymore. It's a remake.
Sure, it's still an old game though.
Yeah, it's based off of an old game, sure. So I've been playing the Resident Evil series. I actually went back and bought all of them on the PC except for Code Veronica because there's no port and there's no remaster yet. So I have to wait for that one. But I played Resident Evil 2 recently, and I finally finished Resident Evil 2. I've had it for a while, and I went through both the campaigns because there's two campaigns. You either play as Leon or you play as Claire. And for those of you that don't know what Resident Evil game is, or Resident Evil is, it's a game set in a kind of it's set in a fake city called Raccoon City, which is kind of isolated in the kind of, I think it's the Midwest or maybe Mideast, I'm not sure, right by these mountains called the Alkaline Mountains. 1 minute.
Oh,
I did tell my dog to quiet down. He's still not quieting down.
at some point you gotta eat him.
Yeah, right. He's not even a snack, bro. So you play as one of two characters, either Leona or Claire. Depending on what character you pick, changes the storyline a bit. In the original, you even went through different parts of the first beginning town, or the city, the first beginning parts of the city. But in the remaster, you don't. You actually go through the same part up until you get into the police station. Now, the police station is also a very interesting location because where they didn't state it in the original, they stated it in this one, that it used to be a museum that was turned into a police station. And the reason this is a thing is because originally when the game was developed, they tried to put it in a modern day police station, at least modern day for like 1998. And they felt that it was too plain and boring. So they changed it to something more Resident Evil-ish, which is a museum police station that has random stupid keys and puzzles that you have to use in certain spots. Like, you can't just kick open a door. You have to use the special spade key in order to open it. Or you can't just go that way. You have to collect these 3 medallions and put it in here, and then you can open the path. Right? Because this is Resident Evil.
Was this?
I don't know, but I want to go do it. It seems like fun. All in all, though, the remaster is a really fun take on the second game. The second game was actually my first introduction into the Resident Evil series, and it terrified me as a kid. I remember leaving my Nintendo 64 on because I didn't want to lose any progress because I didn't know if it saved or not because I wasn't sure if the save system worked, like a dummy, when it totally did. and then I would go to bed and wake up like from night terrors, and then go back and play this game some more. Like that's how much it terrified me because I was 8. I really liked Claire's story a little more than Leon's, because of the storyline that it takes. So as Leon, you meet another person. Her name is Ada, and she's an FBI agent, which turns out not to be the case because she clearly is not working with any bureau or anything like that. So you don't really know anything about her. She's a mystery woman and kind of almost a love interest because it kind of has that vibe, which is fine. And you fight the main villain, William Burke, who was a scientist that injected himself with the G virus, which is the secondary virus compared to the T virus in the series, but we won't get into all that. And it kind of transmutated him into this giant creature, but you only fight him a handful of times. You mainly fight this giant other monster called Mr. X, or the Tyrant. Little is really known about this creature except for he was dropped in apparently to kill anybody that was following the leads on what was happening with the virus and trying to get out of the city. It's not really explained why he's there, because specifically he targets Leon for some stupid reason when he was a new cop that was transferred to the city. As Claire, you fight solely William Birkin pretty much. There is some encounter with the Tyrant, but it's not as much as Leon. Also, with Claire, you meet a little girl named Sherry, and you have more of a kind of emotional connection with this little girl during this whole gameplay, because she's out to look for her parents, and she's trying to find them, and you're trying to help her. So I like her storyline a little bit more than his, but they're both worth a playthrough. All in all, you can play through the game in probably about 8 hours if you know where everything is and you know how to do everything. It's not a very fast, or it's not a very long game. And I think it's a really good take on the Resident Evil, and it does a lot of things right that the original kind of didn't have. Like there's a mechanic to use a kind of throwaway weapon, like a knife or even a grenade, like a flashbang, that when something grabs you, you can use it to get out of it and not take damage. Which the original didn't have.
Yeah.
It was kind of like you just had to put bullets down range, and then if you got grabbed, you were bit, so you couldn't really get grabbed. Also, the controls are changed. It's now the third person move and shoot, as opposed to the old tank controls where it was like fixed camera angles. So it's a little bit more action-y orientated, but it still has that elements of horror that really make that game a lot of fun. Because for me, Resident Evil 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 have the nice campy horror that add to it, with 0 and 1 having the most tension, and then the other two kind of like laying back on the tension more and going for more of a broader scoped approach to like their action horror. And then 5 and 6 just do horror outright, and they just go to action. But they're still 5 was a lot of fun to play with because it was co-op. 6 wasn't as much.
I gotta say, there's a lot more plot to a Resident Evil game than I thought, man. I didn't play a lot of them as a kid, and I really just thought it was like, hey, there's zombies. And
there's
there's so much
mythos.
So I'm going to go into a little bit here how this all, because like it's never really clear about how this all started unless you play 0, and then the answer is kind of given to you a little bit here and there. How this all started was that Umbrella fucked over an employee, like they always do, and they were using the sewage waste facilities as a way to get rid of bodies and stuff like that and dispose of them, is what it was. They dumped his body into the waste management. The leeches that he had made that were like from the T-virus and stuff, they were doing experiments on them, had gotten out. The queen leech had eaten his body, gained his memory, and then slowly but surely thought that she was him. 10 years roll by, and then she goes back to the mansion in the Arclane Mountains and releases the T-virus, which start all the events that happen in the Arclane Mountains and Raccoon City. Like, that's not fucking convoluted as shit.
Yeah, I've been meaning to go back and play these games, and I think I probably won't.
Should do it. It's a lot of fun.
You know which game I want to torture myself with? I want to play through Alan Wake now that I have time to really sit down and be
Same.
horrified.
Actually, I just reinstalled that. I was thinking about playing that.
I love that fucking game. It's the only game that's ever actually freaked me out. Some of the parts are just so fucking intense, and it's really well done. So I like it.
One of the ones that I want to torture myself with that I've been meaning to play but haven't really got around to it is Deadly Premonition. I don't know if you guys have heard of this one.
Good things.
It's good in a bad way. It's a really train wreck of a game that's really fun.
Okay.
That's what makes it so good. It's really weird and out there, and then like really like it has a lot of horror, but it's also like B-movie horror, and it looks like it's a lot of fun. I just haven't been in the mood to slog through a game like that right now.
All right.
But anyway, if you like the Resident Evil series, if you're new to the Resident Evil series, I say 2 is probably a good picking up point to pick up the game and play. It gives a really good feel of what Resident Evil is. That being said, though, if you can get away with getting the controls down for the older system, the remake of the original game is probably your still best bet to start at, because it really has the tension that the original series was trying to go for.
Yeah, I have that on my PS4, and I played like, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour, and I was like, fuck, I cannot do these tank controls.
Yeah,
really hate it.
The alternative controls are actually a little bit better, which is basically the direction that you push goes in front, right? You know, as opposed to the older tank controls.
Yeah, I will say that's one of the things, because I played, I think it was 5 heavily, the one set in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was more the action game.
Didn't like 5, but I liked.
I played that one quite a bit. So I beat the original long time ago at my buddy's house. He had a PlayStation. And then I didn't play 2, but I played Nemesis. Was that 3? Or was that a standalone game? I forget. But anyway, so then I skipped 4 and I played 5. And I liked 5, but still the can't quite move and shoot at the same time of an FPS or even a third person just bugged the shit out of me. I could never quite get it down, but I still played a lot of it.
I liked 5. I liked 5 a lot. I liked it because it was co-op and it was a lot of fun. Like I said, if you liked 5, you might like 2. Because 2 has the similar control system, but it has the actual like kind of original story of Resident Evil 2, but they did do some minor changes, which was still fine. It didn't really matter. 3, on the other hand, which I just also got done playing, I think takes a lot of different turns as far as storyline, and I think it worked out for the better for that.
So, if you had to choose, which remake did you like better?
3.
Okay.
I liked 3 better just because I was never really... So I didn't play 3 originally until it was a port for the GameCube.
Okay. And I didn't play it until it was on the computer.
Yeah. I liked 3, but it didn't really gravitate towards me like 2 did. But the remake, I really like what they did with the story. I really like what they did with the like kind of action scenes, because it became... I don't remember the Nemesis being a threat at the beginning of 3 right away as it became apparent in the remake, because like from the moment you really start, which you have this really cool first person mode before that she like wigs out about, because she like looks in the mirror and she's like turning into a zombie, she's infected, and then she wakes up from a bad dream, which I thought was really fun. The Nemesis attacks you in the apartment, and so it becomes this like action chase sequence from this apartment that is now being wrecked by this Nemesis and is also now on fire because he like shoots at you or whatever, right? And something explodes. And then through the rest of the game, you still kind of have to like get through him, and he goes through these transformation phases. And I felt that it was really fun and organic, as opposed to feeling kind of just there in the third one when the original third one was when I was playing through that. It just felt like he was kind of there, and it was just kind of like, okay, when are you going to go away kind of thing. He didn't have any transformations as far as I remember. But this one, it takes a different turn. Instead of doing 2 separate storylines where you play as one of the 2 characters, because the 2 characters are Jill and Carlos. Jill was from the first one. They brought her back in the third one. and Carlos is working for the USBC, which is the Umbrella kind of civilian corps, where they go in to try to save civilians and try to
Gotta
do
say,
stuff for
based
Umbrella.
on the graphic that Eduardo has up, Jill looks like Natalie Portman and Carlos has stupid hair.
His hair wasn't that frilly in the original either. It's kind of really
No, it
messy in
wasn't.
this one.
I actually
hate
feel like this one is a little bit more racist. Why Carlos got to have that messed up hair, man?
Because he's a loose cannon, man. So in this one, instead of doing two separate storylines, they kind of merge together. So
Okay.
you play as Jill, and then you play as Carlos, and then you play as Jill, and then you play as Carlos, and you play as Jill again. And it follows the whole storyline through. The
At
actual
one point,
timeline.
do they merge into one super being and go by Jillos?
No. The actual timeline is the beginning parts of 3 happen before 2, the game, the second Resident Evil game, and then the ending part of 3 is what happens after that. So there's a part where you go to the police station as Carlos, and you get to see some of the events unfold that you see the aftermath in 2, which I thought was really fun and cool. The other thing is instead of you going through the whole through the whole police station again, because you can't, right? Because it's kind of stupid. Why would you do that? There's certain doors that are unlocked in 2 that were locked in 3, and you had to unlock as Carlos. So it kind of set the precedence in the stage for you going through the second game, which I thought was a lot of fun. I thought it was very well
clever.
done in what they did, right? And like any of the doors that are locked in 2, he just mentions how he doesn't need to go that way or whatever, right? He just like avoids it. So I thought that was a lot of fun. The storyline was a lot of fun. It felt relatively a little more shorter than Resident Evil 2 because there was only 1 campaign as opposed to 2.
Yeah.
But that's okay. They did a really cool thing is that after you beat the game, 1, you can go through New Game Plus if you want. But 2, they also award you points based on the score that you got for beating the game. And you can use that to buy certain things that you can start off with in the next run. So there's a Jill Classic outfit if you want to get that. But you can also get like the lockpicks early because the lockpicks play a big important role through most of the game. You hold onto those after you get them and you go, but you actually backtrack some to get the stuff that was locked with the lockpicks or with the gate that you have to lockpick stuff right through, right? You know, or you can get unlimited gun ammo for certain guns and stuff like that. So you can change your kind of gameplay depending on how you want to play it.
Cheat codes.
Kind of. So like with the lockpick specifically, if I had those early on, I wouldn't have to backtrack. So it'd let me go through and progress a little faster, right? As opposed to progressing to the point where you get the lockpicks and then backtracking to get all this stuff and then moving forward.
Is it 2 or 3 that lets you unlock tofu?
I think that's actually 1.
What is this?
Is it 1? It's an unlockable character that's a giant block of tofu that deals less damage and moves slower.
Yeah, and there's people that have done knife-only runs as tofu, which I think is just stupid.
Oh,
Actually,
wow.
tofu might only be able to use the knife. I'm not sure.
So it looks like you can do tofu in Resident Evil 2 Remake.
Where's the original place, though?
I think it was 2 originally.
That's crazy, because if that nemesis, if it hits you, you're going to get hit hard.
Yeah. And you gotta outrun it as a block of tofu. I mean, literally, the character is a block of tofu with a hat, 2 feet, and arms.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's hilarious.
And there's another unlockable character, isn't there? Or is it just tofu?
No.
There's Hunk.
Who's Hunk?
He was an Umbrella mercenary.
And
But he's
also,
just like a rando?
Did
Kind of.
the remake come with the mercenary mode?
Yes. The remake has 3 different runs that you can do. And they each kind of have their own little story to it as well.
Yeah, yeah.
One is you play as Robert Kendo, who was the actual designer of the Samurai Edge handgun that Stars employed at one point, or through most of the games. And so there's a run with him that you can do. There's a run with another girl that I don't know her name, but you see her in Resident Evil 2 at a part if you're playing Claire, and then the third one is you play as Hunk.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it looks like Tofu was Resident Evil 2.
Does Hunk have any benefit or minus like Tofu does?
He gets an automatic right away.
You got a big old dick on him. Big old dick.
You got a big old dick. Sergeant Sesums. That's actually going to be kind of an inside joke for people who've listened to the podcast long enough, right? Or go
Yeah.
not rewatch, but go back in history.
Yeah. Just listen to everything we've ever put out. You'll find
it. Pretty much. All right, so
I should unlock Tofu and go do a run. I think it'd be fun.
So is anybody watching anything nowadays that they thought they would pass on just because there's way more time, and why the fuck not?
Oh no, we got to do the Society, Society. Get that graphic up there. It's a good one for anybody who's never seen Society. I suppose I just will spoil the shit out of it because it's still pretty magical to watch, even knowing what happens. So Society is about a young boy who has questions about the country club, high society club that his parents belong to and his sister just joined. And it's worth mentioning that we immediately deal with the what's the trope called? The unreliable narrator, you know?
Yeah.
He's automatically suspect because the young boy has hallucinations of things. He sees shit. He sees a therapist. His therapist always tells him, "Oh man, I really don't want to put you on psychoactives. You got to find an outlet. You got to get over this, right?" But the kid kind of starts to slowly figure out that it's not just a country club. It's an orgy club. And the way his sister had to join was she had to fuck everybody in the orgy club, right?
Hot.
So
did that include her parents?
Yeah, including her parents, yes.
Wow.
And that was exploded. Like they had their own time to do it. So, and the exact line was, "First we feast, then we copulate. Then you will copulate with me and your mother." And it's all on like this recording device. I love that. "First we feast, then we copulate" is probably the absolute best line ever spoken in cinema history.
It's up there for sure.
It's up there. It's a good one. It's a good one. So then a little more time goes on, and he actually makes his way to one of these sex parties to try and stop it. But he's still having these weird visions, and he's slowly starting to fall in love with this girl who's part of the society. But the visions he's having of her body's all twisted and deformed, and she's like really overly sexed up, and her mom is a giant who's obsessed with hair to the point where she'll rip the scalp off of people. And let me just go ahead and get this out of the way right now. That is never explained or extrapolated on. She's just large and Shrekish and obsessed with hair, and then like will scalp someone for their hair. It's weird. And they never discuss it. They never discuss it. So he gets to the weird orgy sex cult. And hold on to your butts here. It's brown pants time, because shit gets creepy real quick. It turns out that the rich, the 1%ers, aren't just a different class. They're a different species altogether. And they've survived off feeding on the poor. So what they do is they bring in some low-class kid to their highfalutin society, and then they flesh pile with him. And what the flesh piles are is they all kind of start melding their bodies into the person and feeding on them until they're just skin and goo. But they do it kind of gross, sexy orgy fashion of like kissing him and licking him until their faces start melting into his body. And one of the best scenes, the judge of the town, who's like the leader of the society, gets himself all lubed up, real greasy, and starts rubbing on one of the boys who they've kidnapped. Then he goes and he shoves his fist up the kid's butt and out of his mouth and is just like playing with gore. And the kid's just screaming the whole time. Ah!
What?
And then like later they come back and the judge is still there with his fist like through his mouth, but the skin's all melty and the kid's like dying. I guess. I don't actually. It stops making a lot of sense here. So the whole time, the brother, it turns out he's adopted. They like raised him to be choice food by bringing him in and treating him high society, even though he wasn't, and now he's going to be a delicious meal for them. So his parents and his sister go run off to make their flesh pile. He goes in to rescue his sister because somehow he still has not put together that she's like a part of all of this. And so he gets up and his mom is there and she stands up and she's got butt boobs. She's got butt boobs.
Yeah.
And her head or her vagina is now the daughter's head. And the daughter keeps making, what is it? Sisyphus complex comments. Like if he ever, Oedipal. That's what it was.
Okay.
If he ever had Oedipal complex, now is the time to exercise on it because he could have both. And then the scene that you two saw when we were looking up pictures for this was at one point he calls his dad a butthead, and that's like the big sting against his dad is you're such a butthead, and that cuts him deep. But then he comes back and the dad is just legs and a butt, and his face is coming through in between the butt cheeks. And like I said, the movie really stops making sense at this point. Like really just tonal shift and everything. The dad just starts getting goofy and he starts going like, well, I guess I am a butthead.
What?
Yep. So he tries to leave, and then it comes down to...
I just want to say that if any video ever gets us kicked off YouTube, it's this one, and on the graphic alone. But please continue. I'm intrigued.
So, wait, did you put up the butthead one?
It's it's in the picture.
It is. Okay, yeah, the butthead is in the picture.
That's
Sorry,
why I told you we couldn't get the other one, but this one is more tastefully done.
There's front butt vagina head. That's there too. That's on the right there. And then you can see like their weird squishy flesh pile.
That's why I've been with you this whole time. I don't need to picture it.
It's all right there. So it comes down to the big climax of the movie. It's the boy versus like his high school bully who's also part of the society. And they're gonna fist fight it out. It's man versus man, no flesh monster powers. So they go through fisticuffs, and the bully's just beating the shit out of the kid. Really just knocking him down a peg. Until he decides to get weird and cartoony, and he kisses him on the mouth, but starts trying to flesh pile with him. So the guy manages to pull his face off, and his face like elongates and gets cartoony, and he just starts going, and I don't really know why, but he starts doing that. And then the hero plunges his fist under his he's kind of wearing like an old-timey men's nightgown thing. You know what I'm talking about? It's just like a really long shirt. For whatever reason, that's what he's wearing. It's just like that and lubricant. So he reaches under that and he either shoves his fist up his butt or up his pee hole. It's really not made clear. And then reaches up into the guy's face. That's probably the center right there. He pokes his fingers through the eyes, puts his thumb through the mouth, and then rips the villain inside out, which apparently stops all the other highfalutin flesh. Like, that's the weakness, I guess, is once you realize that you can just pull one of them inside out, they realize how powerless they are. So they all just stop trying to kill him. And then his friend who broke into the party to save him, but really did not accomplish much of anything. Except apparently he shoots one and it dies, so you can still kill them real easy, is just shooting them. And the girl that he starts dating, who's one of them, but I guess just isn't an evil one of them, all run off into the sunset, unexplained. And then the very last scene is the judge and... I feel like the police chief or something. I forget who the other guy is. But the whole time the judge had been offering the villain like, oh, this kid's going to go far. This kid's going to, we have this opening in Washington for an intern, and this is going to be my intern for that opening in Washington. The very last line of the movie, the judge looks over at one of the other highfalutin members of society and just goes, well, I guess I need to find a new intern this summer. And then the movie ends. That's it.
This movie is on Amazon too. It's
Oh,
on
good.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, no, you watch it. Also, like, if you're just looking for a skin flick, there's a couple of good booby scenes, I guess. So if that's what you need out of a schlocky horror, on it, like, I've hit the point. I've been watching a bunch of schlocky horror, and I will say, I don't think the boobs are what make schlocky horror, but I have found the schlocky horror that chooses not to show boobs tend to kind of be shittier ones. Like, they just tend to be the kind of schlocky horror that it's clearly like some dude making his art house debut. Whereas the guys who are doing the schlock, like the guys who know they need to show boobs, tend to lean into it and do really over the top wacky shit that just works better. Society's one of those. Because like it starts off being like a kind of interesting, what is the Society? Oh, it's like this weird sex orgy, sell girls to, you know, old men kind of thing. And then, like, guess what? You're wrong. You couldn't be wronger about what they are. They're creepy monster people.
Well,
I'm going to show this one to Joel tonight, now that I know it's on Amazon Prime.
I gotta say, like, it's schlocky and it's dumb and none of the effects are good by any means. The acting's bad. The dialogue's First we feast, then we copulate. Like, it's bad, bro. It's really bad.
Ridiculous.
But it's super wacky and fun. And the fact that, like, basically the last 20 minutes are essentially a completely different movie only help. Club, you really do got to watch this, and even if we don't do a review on it next week, at least let me know what you think, because it was.
I definitely will. I think it's going to be great. I think Neo should watch this too. He's my buddy that I play a lot of games with. He's real squeamish, so I'm pretty sure it will scare him too.
I got it. Neo, if you're squeamish, it is not at all realistic, and the part where there is gore is so cartoony. I don't know how. Well, let me say, I know Eduardo's wife has a real problem with horror, and I think this would still be too much for her, but not because it's scary, because it's so over the top and it's gross. It's big on gross out. It is real gross out.
Yeah. Did they ever
1989's
explain what they
Society.
were?
They're just a different race. They don't say if it's aliens or mutants or something that's been since the dawn of time. They do kind of claim that they've been exploiting people for a very, very long time. So it sounds like whatever they are, it's not new.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Society.
Check it out. All right.
I'm definitely going to check it out.
I probably won't. I have very little time to spend where I can watch things by myself, and
I got it. So where I'm watching these, just for context, I've been watching Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. He's basically he was a newspaper movie reviewer who just kind of came up with a character of like, he's this redneck who reviews movies, and then it kind of spun off into being like an Elvira kind of show.
Yeah,
And
he's
they
on
show a
Sutter, right?
Yeah, it's on Shudder. They show a schlocky late night horror movie, and then like they occasionally cut it up with some fun facts about the movie told to you by like a wacky personality kind of thing. So I've done Castle Freak, Winged Serpent, Society, Deathgasm, Changeling, which I did not like at all. Changeling's really bad. I don't like it.
Okay.
Madman was only okay, and I'm on Demon Wind, which I'm enjoying more. Demon Wind might be my review next week, because it's kind of like an Evil Dead, but it's an Evil Dead that has fewer redeeming qualities than Evil Dead did, which is saying something.
Yeah.
That's also on Amazon Prime, by the way. I've seen that one on there.
Yeah, maybe do Demon Wind when you get the chance. Like it's another one of those like you can follow along with this movie and go like, okay, this was bad call number 1. This is why this is a dumb idea. There's literally, I passed a scene where they kill one of the girls they're out in the woods, and suddenly like 3 little girls show up, and they're like super strong, and they grab one of the girls who's there, one of the guy's girlfriends, and then just poof, smoke, and then she is like a doll, just like a Cabbage Patch doll covered in blood. And then the boyfriend comes up and he was like, I'm not going to let anything happen to you earlier. And she just goes, you lied. And then she bursts into flames. And then that's how the character dies, is she was turned into a blood-covered children's toy and then bursts into flames. Like you do.
Okay.
Yeah. It's good times. Good times.
Sounds great. We should we should totally check all of this out.
Yeah.
Where the fuck do you find these things? I know you were talking about
apparently
that show.
Amazon Prime.
They have all the weird stuff. All right, fair enough. All right, that brings us to the end of our episode today. Everybody happy? How's everybody doing?
Good. I have food here.
Oh, he's like, I want to eat. All right.
Oh, what kind of food you got? Wait, Glops, tell us all about your food to draw this out longer.
I have Indian food.
Ooh, what kind? You got like some masala?
No, I have lamb vindaloo, and I have something snag or something like that. It's like a vegetarian dish, some garlic naan.
Oh, you gotta have the garlic naan. Have to have it.
Yep.
And I got like some mixed platter of like the appetizers.
And a little basmati rice, right?
I think we made rice. I didn't get rice with it. I don't know.
What kind of cheap ass Indian place doesn't just hook you up with some basmati, man?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know.
Times are tough.
I come with it.
All right. Check us out on YouTube, Mondays 7 to 8 Pacific. We also do a stream on twitch.tv/Metagame Network. That is Tuesdays 7 to 9. Bias Bros comes out every other Thursday. Check that shit out too. Final words, Klops.
Food.
Bonsai.
Klops' food.
Yeah.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.